Now this is the step that separates the men from the boys. This line is echoed through recovery rooms for decades, not because it sounds tough, but because it's true. Step 6 asks for a kind of honesty most have spent years avoiding. It's not about being perfect, it's about being willing to look at our character defects without excuse, willing to admit how they shaped our life, and willing to try again even when change feels slow.
John, tell our viewers in 2 or 3 decades from now what y'all are doing.
Oh shit. Knocking down this...
Might still be knocking this down.
Bunker tunnel.
2 or 3 decades.
Got a lot of steel and rebar bed. Concrete. Cement blocks. It's a bear.
Society.
When I see somebody pick up a sledgehammer, 16-pound sledgehammer, and I get the big ones too because I want to wear these guys out. You notice I don't have any bobcats there. I'm trying to wear them down. I'm teaching them about calluses. I want them sore. I want them to be sweating and be broken down a little bit. I want them vulnerable, and I want to see who they are. You know, Dale's got 30-something years. Warren had 25 or so, and Reed, who was basically homeless for a while, has come back and now has this amazing life by using the same principles that we're trying to teach them. So 3 different levels, and all of them brought experience, strength, and hope to each one of those guys, and it worked very well. And that's one of the benefits of having more people out there. But it's also, it makes it harder too, though. You know, it makes it harder to manage the process, but it's the more people with time, it's easier for the kids, younger folk, the newbies.
Character defects. My number one character defect is just an absolute utter fear of failure. And that drives a lot of the decisions that I make and what I envision failure looks like. And all that encompasses of that, like with just the failure in life, or just, how that looks and how that would reflect on my family and things like that. And that's been a driving force for positive things, but also a lot of negative things and a lot of pressure that I put on myself, and that maybe causes undue stress to just break down and then just burn it all down.
I mean, it's not super stressful out here being in Montana, but just being in a different situation can stress people out sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but coming out here, the biggest adjustment for me was just losing certain things that I used to control, like food is a big one. And then it's just a completely different style of work that I'm used to. I'm used to sitting at a computer all day, which maybe it's not the best thing for me. Kind of just in a better mood out here. So I'm doing much more manual labor, which is something I haven't done in a long time. But I'm learning a lot of new things, which is kind of cool. Things that'll be practical, when I go back. I'll be able to do more things myself rather than just calling a contractor or having someone else come out and do it. So, it's pretty cool.
Barry, who was worked for one of the big consulting firms, High Dollar, very smart guy, a lot of energy, very insightful, great personality. So smart that, maybe you gotta believe in something beyond ourselves, Intellectually, the guy's there, but it also, at times, that prevents us from from letting our ego shrink down. All right, here we are, still working on the top of the bunker, getting ready to cut in the doors and the kitchen door. We've run into a bit of a problem. The cement on the kitchen door ended up being almost 25 inches thick in some areas, and they're having a problem removing it, and it's got a lot more rebar in it than we thought. So a couple of days have gone by, and I haven't gone up to check on that particular part of the job, and let's just say they're not getting along as quickly as we would like. Anytime that Reed calls me and says, hey, maybe you can come on over and check this out, I know he's telling me, hey, I'm a little behind or I'm a little lost on this. So anyway, let's go check it out. So it never ceases to amaze me the level of commitment that these bunker folks, church folks, had with building this thing.
I have a lot of respect for Reed. He has over 5 years sober, and he's been through a lot in his life, and you know, alcohol is beating him down just like it's beating me down, and it's a lot easier to relate to somebody that's been through the pain and struggles of alcoholism and addiction. And Reed is very fair. He expects you to show up on time and work hard. But he's a good man to work for. You know, he's got a good personality. He's got a good heart. I like Reed a lot, and you know, I look up to him as kind of a mentor because of his sobriety and because of his leadership. You know, he's guiding us through all this construction work, and it's hard work. So we need a good leader, and Reed is that man.
What are you going to do here?
We're going to cut it to where there's enough room to walk through there.
Going to go up?
We're going to try not to go up. I'm hoping the bottom of that little arch is high enough we don't have to cut it out.
It's so awesome having Reed there when I'm doing projects like this, because he is adaptable. He's always willing to try some of my crazy stuff I'm coming up with, like cutting into a nuclear bunker. And, you know, and sometimes I'll figure out how we're going to do it, or I'll ask him questions and he'll say one thing and I'll try it my way anyway. And so it's interesting, but he's always willing to step up, use these new power tools to him in many cases, doing a new type of job and be an example for these guys.
Well, yeah, I want the viewers to know what we're doing.
Videographic memoirs.
I want viewers to know what we're doing.
Mom's son gets killed by father.
I hate this fucking dome. I'm gonna kill everybody.
I got it. I'll call you a lawyer, Stephen.
I think it's always going to be a challenge, but at that point, no, it was not. I was willing to do anything and everything to get better and to live like a better life at that point. It was my first time doing any treatment. I knew I had been struggling with substances for a long time. I knew the way I was living wasn't right, and I wasn't ready to make a change until I was. So it was pretty easy for me at that point to you know, see all my flaws out there and see me for who I really am. And you know, a lot of it for me was not really knowing who I was. So when you see those character defects out in front of you, it makes a little easier for, because like I said, it's hard for me to, and it still is, I still think I struggle with like who I am as a person, and I'm still learning every day, but that willingness to continue learning is always going to be there, and I think that makes me strive to be a better person every day.
So we had planned on having a lot of the cement gone by now. This section right down here is probably, this is 25 to 26 inches thick, and we're trying to cut in a large hole here. It's going to be the kitchen doorway, and to build a mud room right here. We're going to try to keep from getting jackhammers because it beats everybody up pretty well. You have to hold the jackhammer sideways. You can't get the big ones. You got to get the smaller ones, and it's just a tough go. So there's Reed finally coming out of the hole. What do you think, Reed?
I'm quit making all that noise. I'm trying to sleep. I think we should just pick a whole new spot.
The plan for the escape window was that it was going to be removed and a doorway would put there. We needed some entryway into the back side of the kitchen, a mud room, so to speak.
Was there any red flags as you're walking through this first walkthrough that you're looking at going, oh shit, this is going to be difficult, or I'm not sure about this?
The red flags for me, just thinking about, the first thing that hit me was there was no life safety. As architects, we have to protect life safety. And the one entrance on the middle level, there was one stair kind of at one end of the bunker that connected all the levels, and just that one little hole to get out of at the top. If there was ever an emergency or a fire, I was thinking, how would you get out? The bones of it, I was concerned about the plumbing, the systems, but those are all things that can be corrected. To me, it was really starting to think about how do we could reconnect this place to the environment that it was in.
I figured, well, we'll just take the cement out. There's already a hole there. Why not just make it bigger? And then we started getting into it, and I was like, what in the world? And it was like 2 feet thick of cement there, and I don't know why. I never figured out why. I think they were just trying to get it right, and then they kept pouring cement on it. But it was this amazing amount of cement there. So we switched gears and moved the mud room over to where the cement was 6 inches thick or something like that. A lot easier.
Montana Society!